It's pointing at me. That means you have to leave a like on this video. Alright, what's up, ladies? So if you guys caught the big old Balisong unboxing I made a few weeks back, you would know that I am now in the possession of, I said that so weird, possession. Now in the possession of a new custom white replicant. It's got anodized titanium liners, got hammered G10 scales, an OSP Bowie blade on it. And this thing's pretty nice. It flips really good how it is right now. But the reason I got it is because this is a really good template for me to turn it into the replicant that I've really been wanting to build for a real long time. You see, I've kind of been on the hunt for the best flipping Kukri Balisong, and I've tried quite a few, and none of them have really flipped the way I was hoping they would. And one day I just thought to myself, I was like, you know, I've never really flipped a Balisong as good as my V1 rep, so why don't I try and build up another replicant and just give it the characteristics that I'm looking for within my dream Balisong. So like a Kukri blade, white G10 scales, a real nice ano on it, and I ended up finding this Balisong that came with like half the stuff that I wanted. Pretty nutty too. God, I love the way reps sound. Okay, I need to stop actually like flipping this thing and get on with the video. So this rep is already kind of like halfway done to where I want it to be. And really the only things that I want to change on it is I want to change the blade to what you're about to see. And then I also want to add some channel spacers to this Balisong. Now I'm not sure what kind of spacers I want to end up putting on this Balisong. I just know that I want them to have jimping. So maybe G10 channel spacers, maybe just some 3D printed ones, or maybe some full titanium ones. I'm not sure yet. Oh my god. But for right now, I have just received the blade that I'm going to be throwing onto this Balisong. If you guys follow me on Instagram at DenDenBMX, you guys know which replicant blade I've been wanting to throw on this thing. You already know it's going to be a Kukri blade because I said that. Also, if you're wondering where I am, I'm house sitting right now. So I'm just doing this in this house's kitchen. Let's see what kind of blade we've got for this thing. Oh, that's way stickier than I thought. So, spoiler alert. It is indeed an hourglass blade. Ooh, I'm excited to see what it looks like in person. You guys ready? Ooh, oh man, look at that. Ooh, this thing looks sick. Oh, I can't wait anymore, dudes. We gotta throw this thing on. Scoot you guys in just a little bit closer. Let's take her apart. I'm gonna use this as like a little plate to keep all the parts. So, put the OSP blade over here, grab this new feller. Let's see how well tuned these bushings actually do come. Make sure I'm actually putting the washers on the right direction. There's one side. Screw these on in. Ooh. Oops. Okay. So I need some oil and I do need to Loctite this on there, but ooh, so far, I'm pretty stoked. It looks amazing. Oh man, that looks so cool. Whew, look at that. All right, let's get some B-roll of this thing and flip it around a little bit. You guys thought you weren't going to see my face in this video? You're not that lucky. So what is up, guys? DenDenBMX here. So within the time I filmed the last part of this video and today, quite a few things have happened. For one, I'm back home, I'm not house sitting anymore. 2, the goddamn Queen of England died. And then 3, I think I may have a new favorite Balisong. So my gold standard #1 Balisong has always kind of been my version 1 rep. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. That was the first like real Balisong I'd ever gotten. And I'm pretty sure most of my favoritism towards my V1 rep is just that I've had it for so long and that was like all I flipped for like 6 years. But I feel like recently it's been kind of bugging me that I haven't found a Balisong that I like to flip as much as that one. Like especially with more recent higher end Balisongs that I reviewed like the Reaper or the Kukri Chab. I don't know, those just didn't hit right and it was kind of starting to worry me that I might not be able to find a Balisong that flips as good as my V1 rep, and I may have just like gotten the best of the best too early and there's never going to be anything else better than that until I did that unboxing of the Medusa, this Balisong, and then of the Gygus, which I borrowed too. The Gygus was cool, but the Medusa immediately like solidified itself as one of my new favorite flippers and to one where I think it could compete with my V1 rep. And then this Balisong, with the state that it was in, it wasn't really up to that level yet. And I feel like a big part of it was just that OSP blade that was on it. Now, don't get me wrong, that blade is really cool and it did flip well, but it just wasn't in the best shape. Like the handle gap with that blade was almost non-existent. Like the handle gap on that thing was the thickness of a pube. I didn't like that at all. And then just the tolerances on it weren't the best. The bushings on it were undersized, so you couldn't crank it down all the way. And then, you know how when you're tightening a screw or a pivot and it's got those last 3 or 4 rotations where it's giving you some resistance and then it locks down? Well, with this Balisong on the safe handle, I had to stop screwing it in the second it started giving me any resistance, because if I tightened it any tighter than that, the safe handle would have binded up. And then it was just really touchy-feely. Like sometimes it would bind up anyway, or the bite handle would start smacking the liners really hard. I don't know, it just kept giving me little problems like that, and it was kind of annoying. But I also didn't want to Loctite the thing because I knew I was going to be changing stuff on it relatively soon. So for a while there, it was a little annoying flipping that thing because it was every 5 seconds I'd had to retighten that pivot or make sure nothing was binding up. So that was kind of annoying. That thing was fun to flip, but it was kind of a hassle. And I threw on this Hourglass Kukri blade expecting to maybe still have some of those problems, just because I know that sometimes with custom reps, things don't line up perfectly. And sometimes they are going to have problems, especially if you piece together one, because you don't know if the liners are going to be from a clone or if something like that's going to be from a clone, or if everything's going to line up perfectly, if 2 aftermarket parts are going to actually fit together. So I was prepared to still be dealing with that stuff, but I'm happy to say that this blade actually ended up fixing the majority of the problems that I had with this Balisong. So as for the tolerances on this thing, there is just the littlest queef of play. There is a little bit of tap too, but it's not much at all. I'm very satisfied with how it is right now, because my V1 rep has more tap and more play than this. It's kind of lame that it still has tap with that little of play, but since it's a replicant, I understand, especially when you look at the gap between the blade and the handles. There's not much at all. It's kind of like how the EX10 was, to where yeah, it was tuned pretty well, but since there was so little gap between the handles and the blade already, that if there was just any little bit of play, it was going to have tap. Yeah, with this new blade, the tolerances have gotten so much better, and that's one of my favorite improvements about this thing that I didn't fully expect to get with this blade. I know Hourglass makes sure the bushings are pretty well tuned, but again, since this thing is pretty custom, I don't think there's a stock replicant part on this thing, so I was prepared for it to not fit very well, but to my surprise, it ended up fitting way better than I expected. Another unexpected perk with switching to this blade is just how much handle gap there is now. That's how much gap there is in the closed position, and that's how much there is in the open position, and I am quite stoked with that. I know a lot of people don't really like a necessarily large handle gap, but I personally love it. I don't know, I just kind of like it more for tricks, especially for things like Z chokers. I feel like I can hook right there a lot better if there's a little more gap, and I just prefer that on Balisongs. I prefer a bigger gap over a smaller gap. I just think it feels better and looks better. And then my second favorite thing about this is the look of this blade. This is one of my favorite takes on the Kukri blade, and I've always wanted to try it. I've always told people that I've wanted to try it for a real long time, and they would always be like, oh, you should get the regular Tonto or even the alt blade because it's going to be more well balanced. Because Kukris always kind of have this tendency to be a little more blade biased. But I gotta say, I like the balance with this blade much more than I like the balance with the OSP blade. I think the OSP blade was actually heavier than this thing, and I vastly prefer the balance of this blade, because again, my idea with this Balisong was to build up my dream Balisong, or my dream replicant, and I am damn stoked with how well this thing flips. I am adoring how well this Balisong flips right now at the moment. Now that it flips like this, and it looks like this, and it's got the tolerances that it has now, this has quickly skyrocketed right up there with my V1 rep. Now, when I was house sitting, I brought everything I thought I needed to throw this thing together, but the one thing that I forgot was oil. It was so dry that sometimes the bite handle would bind up a little bit, and it had me a little concerned that I was going to have problems with this thing. But once I got home and threw the carbon honey into this thing, oh my god, it turned it into a dream. It sounds incredible. It flips incredible. It really smoothed out the flipping. It got rid of most of the burrs. For a little bit there, the bite handle burr was there a little bit. It seems to want to stick up here at the end. But right now, it's not binding up anywhere, and it is flipping really damn good. It's not all creaky and crusty anymore. It's nice and smooth. I'm happy with where the tolerances are on this thing. I'm stoked with how this thing looks now, and I'm really happy with the way this thing flips now. So I've been really worried that I build this thing up exactly how I wanted it to be and how I wanted it to look, and it wouldn't flip as good as I was hoping it would. But I'm pretty happy to say that this thing is a solid 97% complete, and I love the way this thing flips. The only change that I want to make is what I was saying earlier, which is to add some channel spacers to this thing. But honestly now, I'm not so sure, because the way it is now, I'm pretty damn happy with it. Like, yeah, I wish it had jimping, and I wish it had some channel spacers so it could have that sound, and so there wouldn't be a latch cut out right here and everything would be nice and flush here at the end. But I don't know, this thing flips so damn good how it is right now that I don't know if I want to change it. I don't know. Maybe I will still get some channel spacers for this thing and see what that's all about. But for right now, I'm pretty damn happy with the way this thing flips. While I do wish this thing had jimping, I have literally zero issue with grip on this thing. It's so grippy. Like, I feel like adding channel spacers with jimping would almost just be a aesthetic addition to this thing. Yeah, jimping would always help, but the way it is now, it's not slippery. Like, I have literally no problem doing ladders or anything like that where the jimping would help. So I don't really know if I necessarily need it on this Balisong. I still kind of want it, but I also don't want it to mess up how well it flips right now and how good the tolerances are right now. Because again, there's also the chance that the channel spacers wouldn't fit right and it would start messing with the tolerances and stuff like that. So I don't really know. I think I'm pretty content with how it is right now. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's like 2 new parabolics that I learned that I'm abusing. Like, I'm doing them way too much. The first one I'm doing in the ice pick grip where I just flick it like that and then it's back to just normal stance. And then this second one is in the normal position. It's like the normal one I do, but I flick it a little harder and it just plops back into my hand in the ice pick position. And oh my god, that feels so steezy. Like, I feel like that looks really cool. It feels really cool to do. It's a little bit more of an unpredictable one, but when you do it right, it feels so good. See, like that, it kind of spazzed out right there. Are you allowed to say spaz anymore? I don't know if you are. I'm sorry if you're not. But it kind of gets a little wonky. But oof, when you do it right. Like that. That feels so good. All those parabolics feel so cool. Everything on this thing feels really good. Like, there really isn't a trick that I'm struggling with on this Balisong, and it feels really comfortable and nice to flip this thing really fast. And I am really enjoying this thing. The momentum on it's good. The grip on it's really good. Aerials on it feel really good. I can't say for sure if I like it more than my V1 rep and it's my new #1 flipper, but it's definitely up there. I'm gonna have to flip both this and the Medusa for a little bit longer, but right now, this, the Medusa, and my V1 rep, they're easily the top 3. Good news, everyone! So, after I finished filming the flipping demo, I started noticing the bite handle was starting to bind up again. And like when I do this little test, they would be swinging together and they wouldn't separate. And so I took the bite handle apart, made sure there wasn't any burrs in the bushings or the washers or the liners or any metal that was contacting metal in there. And I know you're supposed to replace the washers every time you take it apart, but I don't have any replacement washers with me at the moment. But I just put the cleanest side on the bushing side, threw this thing back together, and now the bind has been eliminated. See, you can see it's not binding up anymore. But on top of that, now this thing has like literally 0 play. And now on top of that, this thing has no tap now. Oh, there might be just like a little tiny. Maybe not. Holy hell, I was not expecting this thing to end up having 0 play and 0 tap. I mean, if I shake it hard enough, there is something tapping in there, but I don't really think it's the liners hitting the blade. It might be it just barely hitting like the tip of the blade or something. But yeah, there's like 0 play now. And I guess you could say there is tap if you listen hard enough, but I don't know. That's pretty damn close to 0 tap for me. That's more than what I was expecting out of this thing. And another thing, this thing sounds insane now. I just threw in some fresh carbon honey thick juice into this thing. So let's do the sound test for this bad hombre. So I think with that, we are going to wrap up today's video. Real quick, since I didn't say it in the beginning, I just want to thank you guys for all the recent support on all my videos. It truly does mean a lot. If you went on to enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you let me know and help support the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, share the video around, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, and you enjoy the content that we put out on this channel. And then I also want to give a big shout out to my current channel members, Modern Balisong, Cosmic Steez, Vanilla Gorilla, and AI. I think it's AI. It might be Al. I don't know. Anyway, a big shout out and a thank you to the channel's sugar daddies. If you want to become one as well and see your name in these videos, as well as get access to exclusive members only videos, you can always join the channel membership. Tiers start as low as $3. But if that's too much of a commitment, you can also go down there and hit the super thanks button if you still want to contribute. Before we go, I got a couple more shout outs to make. First one is to Hourglass Blades for making these Replicant Kukri blades. This thing is amazing. It flips so great. And also shout out to Hammer Scales and shout out to whatever maker created this Balisong and to all the other makers that like made the parts for this Balisong, because I don't think this rep even has any stock parts in it. So a big shout out to everyone who made the parts that went into building this Balisong. And then last but definitely not least is a big huge shout out to Alan over in the Facebook groups. He's the one I ended up doing the trade with. I traded in my Squid Nautilus and my Atropos Kratos for this Balisong, and I'm so glad he messaged me about it, because if he didn't, I wouldn't have found this thing and I just wouldn't have this awesome Bally in my life right now. So a huge thank you to Alan for doing the trade with me. And yeah, I think with that we will wrap up this video. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.